Aubrey had it. So, yeah, top of the well, yeah. And
I'm a
did one of the gates into here.
Excuse me.
Probably more likely there, or even what Larry was saying.
No, you can sit here. I'm fine standing. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm fine standing.
I am too. I'm actually kind of working the crowd.
That's it, Danny. Yeah.
This is our crowd. This is most of our class that we're taking over here on the study of Jerusalem and the New and Old Testament archaeological finds. And what is this, our second day, guys? We've slowed down on our jet lag a little. I think all of us made a little bit better time of it today. And we've learned a lot, haven't we? And you were talking about something about what was he talking about a minute ago? When Jesus was it when he was preaching off of the steps leading up to the Temple Mount? What stuck out to you about that today?
Well, my first impression was, it's so interesting that our rabbi was teaching us on the steps today. That struck me as absolutely amazing, and that's the whole way that it was set up by Jesus, right? That this generation would have followers to teach the next generation, and they would have followers, and there we were sitting on the steps with our rabbi as she was teaching us. It was profound.
And I tell you something that strikes me is the willingness of this group of people to learn from her, because she's young enough to be most of our children, you know, for many of us, and some about the same age and some are younger, but yet she's been here a while and studied it, and she is drawn to the profound nature of how that scripture was influenced by the Jewish culture and the day and time. I found it, when she was talking about that made so much sense when Jesus, admonished the Pharisees and teachers of the law and how that they beat down the people to where they never were good enough. And you could, when she did that, man, in my heart, I could feel it. See him, being bold and yet dealing with them with love in that boldness. And it had a profound effect. And the Pool of Bethesda deal was one of the deals that stuck out to me today, because I never would have guessed it would have been 40 foot deep. and did any of y'all know? Well, you've been, you've probably studied it before. Some of you probably have, but I didn't know about the Roman god that they had the little shallow pools about. Man, that really changed that whole perspective and that whole meeting between Jesus and the sick man. That just struck me, because isn't that how, though, really we all are when we're running from God and doing our own thing, and yet we know we're helpless?
And we find ourselves in the wrong place.
And we're confronted by the truth.
Yes.
And that man made the right decision. That never even dawned on me that when Jesus saw him at the temple later, that he had went through the cleansing ritual to get there, and had come home. That makes a whole other deal with the story of the 99 sheep in the pen, and the shepherd goes after that one.
Chair over there.
Or there. So I hope you guys don't mind me doing this. It's just one of the little deals I told our congregation and some of the friends that I would try to do this a couple of times while we're here, and if I can make it work from here to there, throw it on my Facebook page, link it, something like that for them to look at. But
Great. Extend the family.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But I know this is debriefing time, but now I hate to say it, carry on. And I'll,
I'm glad you shared that.
so if anybody doesn't want me to, I'll shut it down.
No, that's fine.
We can go with what I said and
We
won't
should
worry
all
about
say
it.
hi.
All right. We've got people here. Mary, y'all know here. There you go. We've got a whole group.
Shalom.
All right.
Howdy.
They know what that means. Yeah,
That's when they're Australians.
that's right. All right. So actually, this group that we're here, we've got Kansans. Somebody was from Minnesota, right? Wisconsin. We've Oregon. Tasmania. Now, you don't find that every day running into people from Tasmania. That's a good thing. That means people go to Tasmania, they don't leave it.
That's right.
You know, in Oklahoma, you run into people all the time say, well, I'm from Oklahoma. It indicates that they left. So we've got our teacher's actually a native Okie. And then we've got several Kansans. Illinois, got somebody from Illinois. Somebody lives Singapore, yeah. Korea.
We got Vancouver names from
Canada. All right. So that's what the church is supposed to look like. If you stop and think, that's a good indicator of. I mean, there would be something wrong with the church if everybody in this group was from Australia, or Tasmania, or Oklahoma. You know, it would indicate. But seekers from the truth come from everywhere. So now that we've got the hellos out of the way, I hate to do it. I'm going to step back a little bit.
And block your wife.
And no, I'm going to slide back there behind her,
Okay.
where she can elbow me if I get to doing something silly.
And we found out an interesting thing at our table today. We taught school in Taiwan, my husband and I, back in 68, 69, 70. And she was saying how she'd been to Taiwan, and we said, well, how old were you? And how did that happen? She said her dad was in the military, and she, as a little girl, went to this missionary school. And we found out that Len and I were there at that same school. She was there as teachers.
Could she have been in your class?
Well, it couldn't have been because I taught fourth grade. She was in first grade. But we were at the same school.